It's the most wonderful time of year. No, not Christmas, middle grade March. Hi friends, welcome back to Pages and Chaos. And yes, if you haven't figured it out already, middle grade March is one of my favorite read-a-thons ever that I participate in every single year. And I was just looking through my little notebook here where I started making my middle grade March notes way back when, and I think my very first middle grade March was like 2019 or 2018. My first 2 pages aren't labeled, but yeah, like I write down the prompts and my piles of possibilities. So this is 2021, so on and so forth. So here we have my very sloppy 2025 pile of possibilities for this year for middle grade March. So in case you're new to middle grade March is an annual read-a-thon that is all about middle grade, and it is hosted by Krista at Books and Jams, Katie at Life Between Words, and Amanda at On the Middle Shelf. Every year we get a list of prompts plus a group read, and we can interpret it as we want. We can read as much as we want, as little as we want. And the great thing about this read-a-thon is even if you've just read one middle grade book, you have participated in middle grade March. And I have come here to share with you my very large pile of possibilities to fit the prompts for 2025. So keep in mind that this is just my pile of possibilities. This does not mean that I'm going to get to all of these because there's like 15 or 16 books here, but these are the books that I have pulled from my shelves that are on my list of interested readings for this year. So the first prompt is an author with 3 names. So I have 3 books that could possibly fit this prompt. So the first book I have is Fredrik Sandwich and the Earthquake That Couldn't Possibly Be by Kevin John Scott. This was actually a book that I randomly found at the Dollar Tree, and it sounded fun, so I decided to pick it up. So this is about Fredrik Sandwich, who feels this rumble and this earthquake, and he's trying to find out what caused this and what happened. Otherwise, it was just a very normal night. And he goes to figure out what is going on, because it says that this has destroyed his prized telescope and he's determined to find out what caused it. But the thing is, nobody else knows what he's talking about when he asks about it. So he sets out on an adventure to try to find out what caused this earthquake and why nobody else knows what's going on. The next book that I have is The Length of a String by Alyssa Brent Weissman. And this is about Amari, who was adopted into a Jewish family, and she has grown up in the Jewish culture. And one day she finds her great-grandmother's journals from how she escaped during World War II and the Nazi soldiers that were coming out for her and her family. So in these journals, it's all about her escape to America. So Amani has decided what she wants for her bat mitzvahs, and that is to meet her birth parents and to find out about all of her heritage, especially because she is a child of color and she grew up in a predominantly white and Jewish community. That's what she grew up in because that's who her adoptive parents are. So she is going to set out to find out all about her birth parents and intertwine that with her life in her adoptive parents and just the life that she has grown up and known for 13 years. The next book that I'm going to pick up is Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan. And if you've seen my last video, this is actually also my booktuber recommendation for March from Krista. And because I'm going to be reading it anyway, I figured I could include it into my prompts because, of course, it fits the 3 last names or the 3 names. And this is a story about mystery and adventure. This magical harmonica has made its way across decades and across multiple different people to help them through their struggles and intertwine all of these stories of these people. I think it starts off with Otto, who meets 3 mysterious sisters and figures out a prophecy, a promise, and a harmonica. And then decades later, it follows Fredrik, Mike, and Ivy, all in different parts of the world, and how their stories become intertwined with their struggles and how this harmonica plays a role. I cannot wait to dive into this one. The next prompt is Flowers on the Cover. So I have 2 possible books for this prompt. The first one is Lasagna Means I Love You, and there are little tulips over here in the corner, so I just had to pick this up because I've been wanting to read this for a while. This was something that I think Krista recommended a long time ago, and she said that I would love this, and so because the tulips are in the corner, I figured I'm gonna make this fit for any of these prompts this year, and that is what I did. So Lasagna Means I Love You is about Mo, who finds herself after her nan dies suddenly in foster care system. Growing up, she's had the hobby of cooking and collecting other people's families' recipes, and she figures out that if she wants a family recipe of her own or her own family, she is going to have to make it herself. And I absolutely cannot wait to dive into this book. This is going to be a must read for middle grade March. The next book that could possibly fit flowers on the cover is The Grace of Wild Things. And I don't know, I mean, they look like different plants and trees, so I'm gonna count it. The Grace of Wild Things is actually an Anne of Green Gables retelling, and this is about Grace, who she's not really good at anything except for magic, and she lives in this orphanage, and when she keeps getting passed up over and over again, she decides she's going to make her own fate, and she runs away to live with a nearby witch in the woods. And she thinks this witch can't be that bad, but it turns out that this witch actually is. She winds up gobbling up people's hearts, and she takes all of these spells and she casts them on people. So Grace now has to figure out how she's going to save magic and stop this witch from doing everything that she's doing, and will she have to sacrifice her own magic to be able to save everybody else? The next prompt is a book that involves travel, and the two books that I have pulled from my shelves are actually books that, again, I randomly found at the Dollar Tree, and I haven't picked them up yet, so I figured what a great time to try them now. So the first book for that prompt is The Adventure Guide to Successful Escapes by Wade Albert White, and this will also fit an author with 3 names, and this is about Anne, who has been in an orphanage for her 13 years of life, and she is tasked with doing chores just like everyone else, and she dreams of going on these adventures with her best friend Penelope and finally being adopted. And when she finally thinks that is going to happen, she winds up not getting adopted, and she feels she has been denied her true quest. And denied her, it says, her rightful ticket out of St. Lupin's. So she decides she's going to run away and escape the orphanage and with the possible evil matron, and she's going to set out to make her own adventure. And she finds out that this dragon medallion gets fused to her hand, and she is now tasked with, I believe it's called the Rightful Heir Quest. Yes, the Rightful Heir Quest, where she has to defeat these enemies and solve these puzzles and hopefully make this adventure for herself. So this just sounded so adorable, and I can't wait to pick this up. The next book that would fit this prompt that I, again, found at the Dollar Tree is The Peddler's Road by Matthew Cody, and this is from the Secrets of the Pied Piper series. So this deals with the legend of the Pied Piper, who led children away with his pipe, and they never returned. So this takes place in modern day Hamelin, which is where the Pied Piper led away the children in the first place. And Carter and Max, so Max and her younger brother Carter, have been led away themselves in this modern day adventure, and they come across the original children from the 13th century that have been led away. So now they, along with the children, have to make this way down the Peddler's Road to try to make it back to the real world and escape the Pied Piper. So this sounded so adorable, and we'll see if I get to pick this one up as well. The next prompt is a book that belongs in a series, and I have one must read because it is the next book in a series. One I really, really want to get to because it is the start of a series, and then I have 3 others that I might want to get to if I have the time. So the first book that is my must read for this prompt is Amari and the Despicable Wonders. This is the 3rd book in the Amari series, and I absolutely cannot wait to pick this up. Now, unfortunately, when I went to go buy it at the bookstore, they only had the hardcover, and both of my books are paperback, so I'm going to wait until September to buy it, and right now I am waiting for it to come in the library, so that is why I'm just going to show you a picture of it right now, but I will read the physical copy once it comes in. And this is about Amari, who once again is continuing to fight against the evil Knight brothers with all of the other magicians that are trying to take over the supernatural world. So I'm not really going to go into too much because then it'll be spoilers for the other two books. But Amari is continuing her fight against the evil magicians that are taking over the supernatural world. The next book that I could pick up that would fit this prompt is The Pages & Co. The Map of Stories. This is the third book in the series. So this is about Tilly and Oscar who go on another adventure, and this time they're heading out to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. because they are setting out to find these book wanderers called the archivists, because they believe that they are the key to saving the British Under Library. And then they find out while on this trip that something strange is happening, that people are actually forgetting their favorite stories because books are disappearing, and they're trying to bring Tilly into this. So now she's trying to figure out how to stop the books from disappearing and what's going on. And it's been a while since I picked up this series. I think I read the second book last middle grade March, so I really do want to try to get this one picked up as well. The next book that I could possibly pick up for this prompt is The Vanderbeekers to the Rescue. This is the third book in the Vanderbeekers series, and I am super excited about this. I just love this series. This is such a wonderful, heartwarming family series, and it is so adorable. So the Vanderbeekers are a biracial family that live on 141st Street in the city in Harlem, and it is now time for their spring break. And you have Issa, who is preparing this week for her violin concert, and you have Oliver, who's building a tree house, and then you have Lainey, Jesse, and Hyacinth, who are helping their mother get ready for the chance of a lifetime to star in a popular lifestyle magazine. But something happens and they wind up ruining her chances, and they are trying to fix whatever is happening before her mother loses her chance at this magazine. So it says the kids secretly race against the clock to fix their epic mistake. Mysterious packages arrive at their doorstep and threaten to ruin everything. So this is another book that I pulled, hoping that I could possibly pick this one up from March this year. Now, the last two books that I have for this prompt are actually the first in a series. So one of them is something that's been on my shelves for a while, and another one is one that I really do want to try to pick up this year. So first up is The Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library, and this has been on my shelves for a while. I actually think I have like the first 2 or 3 in this series, and this just seems like such an adorable, fun read. So this is about Kyle, who learns about the world's most famous game maker, and he has designed the town's library and is having an invitation-only lock-in to the library. And if you get an invitation, that's not the hard part. The hard part is trying to compete in all of these games and solve all of these riddles and puzzles to get out of the library. So I feel like this would just be a very fun adventure. The next book is a book that I really do want to try to get to, because I bought this with the intentions of picking it up for middle grade March this year. And this is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. So this is the first in a series. This is about Percy Jackson, who has been expelled from yet another boarding school, but unfortunately, that is the least of his problems. All of the mythological monsters and the gods of Mount Olympus keep jumping out of his textbook and coming to life. And it turns out that Zeus's master lightning bolt has been stolen, and Percy Jackson is the prime suspect. So now he has to try to figure out what the heck is going on and deal with all of that. Now, the last prompt is a book that was published in the 1900s. So this can be anything from 1900 to 1999. And I have 2 books that would fit that prompt. So the first book that I have for that prompt is the Nancy Drew series, The Hidden Staircase. This one was published in 1930, and I've read a lot of Nancy Drew as a kid, but I don't ever remember reading this one, so I'll be excited to pick this one up and read this for middle grade March. And the last book that I chose for this prompt, and I think this is the one that I'm going to start with for this prompt, is The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. And this is about 16 people who have been invited to the reading of the will of Samuel W. Westing. And he is somebody who has been known for his love of games, eccentric games. And he is this millionaire, and everyone's trying to figure out why he has chosen this ultimate stranger, and it says here, possible murderer, to inherit his fortune. But it says, there's one thing for sure. Sam Westing may be dead, but it won't stop him from playing one last game. And I can't believe I've never read this book. So I'm very excited to pick this one up for Middle Grade March as well. And now for the last books of Middle Grade March this year, and that is the group reads. And yes, I said group reads, there are two. Well, there's one group read and a second one that we are encouraged to read if we've never read, because it goes along with the other book. So first up is The Secret Garden. And believe it or not, I've never read this. I've seen the movie so many times as a kid, and I loved the movie, but I've never actually read the book. So I'm excited to pick this up for the first time. And this is about Mary Lennox, who is orphaned, and she comes to live with her uncle, and she sets out to explore this beautiful house with all these large rooms, and she comes across these beautiful gardens. And one day she finds this garden's locked door and doesn't know what's behind it. And she finds the key, and is this the key to unlocking the door in her secret garden? So I'm very excited to pick this up. And the edition that I got has illustrations, so I cannot wait to read this one. And then the other book that we are reading for the group read this year is Moongarden by Michelle A. Barry. And this is actually a Secret Garden retelling, which is why we're reading Secret Garden as well. Sorry, Nugget. But anyway, this is about Myra Hodger, who's in her first year at this elite school on the moon, because centuries ago, Earth, their plants turned deadly and humanity had to go into space to survive. And she doesn't fit in. She's finding out that she's all alone. And one day she's cut in class and she comes upon this secret laboratory that is filled with all of these plants. And it turns out they are extremely toxic and dangerous plants. And she sets out to learn more about this garden and what all of this is about. So those are all the prompts and the books that I have pulled this year for Middle Grade March. Like I said, this is just my pile of possibilities. I have my must-reads, and if I have time, some other ones that I threw in there to possibly read as well. Let me know down in the comments, have you read any of these books? How do you like them? And if you love them, let me know what you loved best about it. Also, let me know if any of these intrigue you. And if you're not up for any type of comments, then just put a little emoji down in the comments to let me know that you stuck around for this long. You can put in any book emoji in the comments as well. And as always, thanks for joining. That's all I have for now.